Hey everybody, welcome back to YAFTV. It is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. I am so glad to be back with you here on a Tuesday. Sorry I've been away for a few days here. So glad to be back. So much going on in my backstory. Yikes, but here we are. And so I'll jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence, hatred, or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. So I'm so glad to be back with you here. So much going on as always. We're going to jump in here with the news. I will just say a few things first, as I do usually to start out. And I'll plug for my great sponsor, C60 Evo, there at the end of the channel, at the end of the video. Great video with them last Wednesday if you haven't seen it. So fantastic about just really supercharging your immunity to all things awful in the viral world being thrown at us. But anyway, today we have so much going on domestically that is so exciting. I'm going to talk a lot about that because as we keep hearing from the sort of huge audience pundits out there that are constantly deriding Trump about what he's doing, it's important to talk about all the domestic stuff too, to see that no, Trump has not just given up the domestic sphere, doesn't care about us, all of this. This is a whole situation of Trump is trying to reorganize the assault on the country that comes from the outside, that comes from the globalist regime and City of London specifically, but the bankster elites, and taking that on in this Iran situation. And we're seeing how this is going on with the conversations and the negotiations aren't only with Iran at this point, I don't think. It's to do with the UAE, it's to do with Saudi Arabia, it has to do with the petrodollar and American energy dominance, and how there is this situation of trying to get on board the Middle East countries to basically not only defeat Iran control by the City of London, okay, and open up that whole sphere of the Strait of Hormuz being not controlled by the City of London anymore, but also get Saudi Arabia, get the UAE, Qatar, etc., to agree on some deals to do with the petrodollar. And this petrodollar, keeping the dollar as the dominant currency to save the American economy, but have it extricated from its control by the City of London, how they've been doing it with the strait, but usually through terrorism, as always a threat to the price of what oil costs and what energy costs, is huge in this. And we're going to see King Charles coming, of course, very soon for a 4-day visit. King Charles, okay, a monarch of England coming to the U.S. is very, very rare. This is extremely rare, and so we're going to see King Charles come and try to do some, actually, I think that King Charles is coming to the U.S. basically in an acquiescence move, that there is going to be an agreement that will have to do with the City of London, will have to do with basically having to step down in this 250-year revolution that we are now in our 250th year. And I'm going to jump into some more about that because that's going to be a huge visit coming up very soon this month. And we need to remember things like yesterday was Patriots Day. Yesterday was Patriots Day. Okay, that is one of my other favorite holidays. This is, of course, to do with the sparking off of the Revolutionary War. And it was the 251st anniversary of Patriots Day, not Patriots Day, but the 251st anniversary of the Revolutionary War kicking off with what happened in Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts, right? And the Minutemen coming and going to storm the armory, going for basically getting everything they needed to go up against the British, right? And it was a huge, it was the shot heard around the world. It was the starting off of the American Revolution. And that was just yesterday, peeps, nothing, national news, nothing. But a fantastic and awesome day to always remember, and always remember how the Black Robe Regiment, how there were so many pastors involved there, with Sam Adams there, so strong, and there being this incredible breakout of the USA, the colonists saying we're colonists no longer. We are claiming America for a free and new place like you've never seen, to have a constitutional republic. We're breaking free of the UK empire. And so now who's coming here to us in a few days is King Charles, okay? Having to come to America to basically beg for there to be a way that that Trump's administration doesn't completely destroy the NATO pact, doesn't completely take away support from what is this Atlanticist regime, as while Trump is also doing these sideline situations. I believe even the Iran ceasefire negotiations, and Trump came out today. We're going to give him a couple more days here on this ceasefire while there are all this infighting in who's supposedly in charge in Iran to be even able to negotiate and all of this, because of course the city of London still wants their operatives to get in there to be in control, like the former crown prince there, Pahlavi, and to try to put him in there. No. And Trump has been saying no, no, no all along to that. And all the alliances of the elite bankster control that would be that. And so it's very interesting as we're seeing the UAE come out and say, oh, we want you to pay us, we want you to pay for all the damage that was done. We're having troubles, one of the richest countries like Las Vegas for the billion and trillionaire elites there at Dubai. And Trump is saying, yeah, maybe I'll pay for those damages. We're negotiating this situation of the petrodollar being the only currency that they will use going forward, that the American currency will continue to dominate in this energy dominance across the world, what is becoming America as the most energy dominant country. And yes, I don't like paying more gas prices. I don't like it to be higher. Do I understand it's a war? Yes. Am I very excited that Trump is taking them on? Yes. And then when we hear people coming out and on huge platforms still doing this thing where they're saying Trump has prefrontal lobe dementia. He's acting just like somebody with dementia, constantly calling out his age, constantly calling him out as he's basically becoming the lion we asked him to be, to go up against the globalists, to take on the city of London, take on the elite banksters, to put America in a dominant position again. That he is being told, oh no, you must have dementia for actually trying to do this. You're harming us. We've been suffering so long. You're supposed to make it so much better, so much quicker. And what Trump came to understand is that with the initial push of the tariffs to totally disrupt the way that the stranglehold of the American economy by everybody taking advantage of us, and the only attempts that can happen to reshore manufacturing, to reshore everything to America is through the tariffs, then going into confronting the things that are stopping America becoming energy dominant in the world, doing that now. It needs to happen. It needs to happen, people. And I'm somebody with very few resources, and so for me, it's hard all the time. But yet this was the whole point, was to fight this war. And so people coming out claiming Trump has dementia and then being surprised when he hits them back and says, you're low IQ, you don't do the analysis, you're not keeping up here. And then all of it is what should be happening, and is important for people to understand that the constant fixation on Trump going to war to stop Iran, the IRGC, okay, these are the oligarchs like just like the oligarchs were created through Yeltsin, in Russia, and the fall of the Soviet Union, and the creation of what was largely a huge amount of Jewish oligarchs that then became dual citizens with Israel, and created what was called the rape of Russia, and just stealing all the resources, creating this kind of clan situation. Is also with the IRGC in Iran, and that they are all the same people paid in the same ways, and something happening domestically today that we're going to look into here with the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, HRC's bestie, right? That thing coming out with Todd Blanche in Alabama, and the FBI and Patel involved to expose what the SPLC is doing. It's the same kind of thing where you're the City of London, and also in connection with Israel. And remember, we always come back to Robert Maxwell and Ghislaine Maxwell and the Epstein situation, all of it. That Robert Maxwell was this triple agent of Israel, UK, and Russia, to do with all of these oligarchs, creating massive, how to be a central bankster part of the New World Order. And so when we see that the whole attempt here is to take down the New World Order, and that it obviously involves a war that takes a lot of time, I'm not talking only about the Iran war here, I'm talking about the larger takedown of the globalist system, the Atlanticist City of London system, run by the bankster elites, okay, that have all immunity through all of these acts that were created after World War II to give the international, the Bank of International Settlements, all of these banks, the IMF, all of them cannot be audited or prosecuted. It's for this. It's because to rip off America until we're dead, and any other country that they want to do so as well. And that's what happened here with Iran, taking down Lloyd's of London, taking down their control of making tens of billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars laundered in various ways to fund the creation of an oligarch class in Iran, which is the IRGC, and the mullah. Top echelon there is just massively controlled by them at this point, because they make so much money their own selves, okay, on all their real estate, money laundering scams, etc. And so all to detriment of the Iranian people, but also all to detriment of the world, and the attempt to collapse America as the most advanced, incredible, freedom, loving and creation of freedom of any country in the world with our constitutional republic, which is why it's so important what's happening in Virginia today with this referendum that's being voted on. Massive, huge turnout. I won't know in this video if CIA Spamberger's referendum to try to steal Virginia was won by the red, by the patriots of Virginia or not, but it's looking really good, because that was a grassroots huge campaign to get people out to stop CIA Spamberger trying to make the Virginia DC suburb basically be the controller of Virginia, with like 4 more Democratic seats there. And this is all about cutting off the tail of the lobster by grassroots ends, people doing great work there, because the whole attempt there going on by Spamberger in Virginia is, of course, to join with this national pact on I'll get there, but basically this is all about destroying the electoral college, okay, and creating this push towards communism of the popular vote is what should control America, versus the checks and balances of our founding fathers, that the electoral college makes sure that the states actually have their power against these hordes of populations in these cities and control centers, versus the rest of the country, and that being used, of course, by the Democrat cheating, lawfare machine, and especially in the elections. And this all coming out as we're having Arctic frost hearings today in the Senate. We're having all this incredible melee of great things happening at the same time to expose the deep state in our country, with prosecutions coming, including the Brennan prosecutions, and expose who are our own deep state awful players like John Thune, trying to block the release of John Brennan, former CIA, you know, Islamist, converted to Islam. He's a dual citizen with Ireland, who's John Thune is trying to block his Senate testimony from going to that grand jury on grand conspiracy in Florida, headed up by Judge Eileen Cannon, who is the best, and that they brought Joseph DeGeneva in there to help prosecute this case only recently. And this is great stuff. So I know I'm like rambling on this 16-minute rant about it all. I hope it's not too confusing, but I hope you also see the interconnections of how this all plays down. And before I dig into the weeds, I'm going to just say that one great thing also coming out after Patriots Day yesterday is to remind people that in the celebration of USA 250, we have Trump going, hosting basically what is going to be an epic and incredible fireworks celebration at Mount Rushmore. Okay, that will be on July 3rd of this year. It's going to be fantastic. If you can be in South Dakota at Mount Rushmore for that celebration, I think that would be one of the key places to be. You can go to recreation.gov/ticket/facility/ actually, you know what? I'll just put it all down below. I'll put it all below. But it's basically a ticket lottery because there's so many people who want to go, but you can throw your name in the bucket and try to get in there and see, can you participate? And I hope I haven't missed the deadline on that, but I will try to, I'll get back to you on that. But it is, you know, just an incredible thing. And of course, on this channel, I am fully supportive of President Trump's visage, his non-dementia, his non-frontal lobe dementia visage, being, just, beautifully sculpted into that mountain with those other greats of our founding fathers. And so that's where I stand on that. So jumping, further in here, let's get into the Southern Poverty Law Center, what came out today, because this is very, very important when you have Todd Blanche, who, is vying for his AG position and likely seeming like he will get it. And we'll see. It's been kind of squirrely here, but we need to understand that what came out today is very important here with the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is the lawfare arm, working with the ACLU and the ADL to constantly go after people out of the conservative movement, and then finding out today that there's an 11-count indictment. Grand jury just put down 11 counts, an indictment against the SPLC for $8 million paid to foment hate, okay, within groups that they were working directly with all these right-wing, ultra-right-wing. It's not even right-wing. These are just hate groups, okay? This is like, we're talking about the KKK. We're talking about the American Front, the Patriot Front, all of these created and paid groups that are just trying to create the visage of, we have this massive right-wing hate groups out there that hate everybody of color and want America to be a white country and all this crap, just like the Democrats created the KKK, okay, back in back in the early days. They created the KKK, and right now we have the SPLC, just as I was describing how they create the terrorism and pay the terrorists, whether it's Netanyahu paying for Hamas, paying Hezbollah, whether it is, the city of London creating the terrorism situation of Iran so that it can be a money laundering, trafficking situation in order to use that to stop the dominance and rise of the USA and other European nations, but in any nations, okay, this control of this conquer and divide, this divide and conquer, Cloward and Piven style situation to just to make huge tons amounts of money through death and destruction and killing and hatred. And so the SPLC, 11 counts, 11 count indictment by grand jury coming out today with Todd Blanche, and you get Kash Patel there with the Alabama FBI doing heavy lifting in this investigation. One thing that came out huge about this is way back to Charlottesville. And remember, oh, it was like the KKK marching in Charlottesville, and all of those photos we saw that were like super high def, like, you know, Hollywood level photos of hate marching there in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it's Virginia, again, CIA Spanberger there now, where basically this one person there at Charlottesville was paid $270,000 to make that into a deadly event. There's one woman who, of course, died there, to make it into a violent event, and that they kept doing this up to $8 million worth of money that they had raised from donors who they had said, through the SPLC, had said, we're asking for your money so that you can help us fight hate, okay? And instead, they created all these shell corporations, laundered money, hid it from the federal government, hid it from the IRS, hid what they were doing. And as a 501c3, they have to actually be transparent on how their money is spent. Instead, they hid it, put it through shell companies with no employees, nothing happening, just money laundering through these, you know, dots on a screen, and transaction shifting to multiple hate organizations to foment and create the picture in America that there is a Christian nationalist, white supremacist. What did John Brennan say, and everybody else? That's the biggest threat to America is this domestic teaism from these hate groups. And now we know that this was hugely and massively created and funded through the SPLC and so many other groups besides. But it's great that this one is getting brought up on huge indictments, specific people not exposed yet who the individuals are, who will be supposedly, according to Patel, arrested, that there will be huge things going on here to do with prosecutions. And so this is massive. So, and it looks like that within this could lead up to January 6th, to the J6 operation that went down there. And so very, very exciting to watch this all happen. And we'll keep bringing it to you as I find out more. And this is all while we're seeing at the same time, of course, the John Brennan prosecution starting very shortly, and the bringing on of Joseph DeGeneva up to, down to Florida to work on this with, you know, and Judge Eileen Cannon, who was the one who first stopped Jack Smith back in the day, and that whole conspiracy case he was trying to build against Trump, this grand conspiracy that goes from Crossfire Hurricane up through Arctic frost, years and years. What Chuck Grassley is attempting to do here out of the Senate is show how there was an entire stolen presidency, and that this grand conspiracy case is reaching into all of these operations. One thing that Jeff Clark had to say, because of course he was attacked massively, and Trump had wanted, he was one of Trump's, you know, first people he wanted as AG. And basically Jeff Clark, they've been trying to strip him of his legal license, trying to throw him in jail, etc. Let me see, I wanted to mention that you can go to him from the Oversight Project at itsyourgov.org, itsyourgov.org. That's Jeff Clark. But he did a great testimony today in the Arctic Frost hearing, where he basically explained here's one great point. He said, Arctic Frost is actually the name Arctic Frost that they used for the operation that was about surveilling the senators, surveilling the Trump campaign, surveilling hundreds of American citizens. All of this Arctic frost. The Arctic frost is actually the name of an orange, a name of an orange. And it was this Orange Man Bad operation continuing on and on from all the others that had already come before it. And so great testimony. Eric Schmidt did really huge, heavy lifting, the senator out of Missouri today, where he explained very clearly that Jack Smith is a dirtbag and a villain, you know, which he is, but basically saying that all their subcommittee hearings that they've been having leading up to this are this huge whistleblower infrastructure that is going across these conspiracy cases and leading to what's happening in Florida with these prosecutions. And what we're seeing here with Joe DeGeneva being brought in, so intimately knowledgeable about these kind of cases. And of course, there when it all happened, attacked for his support of Trump, etc., is that we're seeing, the big, all of the evidence is getting there. And who's standing in the way? John Thune, who's always standing in the way. The Save America Act, completely dead, not there. Dead in the water, not even happening, not even hearing about it now. And John Thune, he would only take 27 votes to get out, right? We don't need everything. We need him to not be the leader of the Senate anymore for all of his obstruction and his, of course, he again, as we said forever, the acolyte of McConnell, there to obstruct, and doing quite a good job. And so we're also hearing, this is interesting, that Devin Nunes, of course, the one, exposing Russiagate early on. We have Tulsi Gabbard coming out today with new news about that. This gets into Brennan. Devin Nunes he's leaving the Trump media group behind to go full time into his role as intelligence oversight. And this is intimately connected with all of this. And so we're seeing it all deconstructed and put to grand juries in Florida. And so this is moving forward, and it's very, very important as we see Tulsi Gabbard putting out today this great revelations about Bill Barr, knowing everything about all the election fraud evidence that was already there that came through intelligence in late November, in December of 2020, that Bill Barr, as the AG then, of course, remember, he's the last one to see Epstein alive, right? Last visitor there in the prison there in New York was Bill Barr. His dad, of course, ran Epstein in the early days, running the Dalton School there in New York. His dad writing the creepy book about the space aliens raping children. You just can't make this up. This is who these people are. It's nuts. And it's not nuts. It's disgusting. It's evil. It's satanic. These people are satanic, evil demons. And so we're seeing Tulsi Gabbard, champion, continuing to be the champion that she is as the director of national intelligence, coming out with more documents revealed that show clearly how hackable the voting machines were, and were 100%. And Krebs, of course, who came out and said it's the most perfect election ever, zero fraud. He needs to be indicted right away, of course, but he was out of the cyber team there at the time. And that they all had the information in January and February of 2020, what a threat the machines were, that they were entirely hackable, they were entirely online, that they already knew it, and nothing could be done about it. And Trump demanded that evidence be put out, and they did not follow his orders. And so we're going to see, I think, some activity here with Bill Barr. I think it already is happening, actually, because we know that Bill Barr was closely interrelated here with what happened with the John Bolton FBI raid, and this whole thing of pay for play coming out of Bolton. That really involved Barr getting Bolton paying, getting money for access to the White House, getting access to lobbyists and political political people to influence what was going to be happening in Trump's sphere, and that Bill Barr was right up in there with all of that. So I believe possibly there's already some Barr negotiations happening behind the scenes here, where this is going to play into the grand conspiracy cases that are going on, and so we're going to keep watching it. It's very exciting, and it's coming down very soon. It's coming down as Iran is being ripped out of the hands of the city of London, ripped out of King Charles' control as he's coming here to the U.S. And as then Trump, the next big meeting after that, of course, is with President Xi of China. So huge, huge, huge shifting going on here. And another really incredible thing as well as we have Ken Paxton now, huge investigation into Act Blue, going full bore forward. This is lawsuits, investigations with criminal indictments as the end game here by AG Paxton, of course, running for Senate against Cornyn, with Cornyn's hundreds of millions of dollars going into this Senate campaign for this last term senator to stop AG Paxton from becoming the next senator of Texas. And even though Ken Paxton has even offered, he said, I'll drop out of the Senate race if you pass the Save America Act. If you want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to try to defeat me and defame me and sue me and do all these things, Cornyn, and then, if you pass the Save America Act that actually makes elections, possibly controllable and fair, then I'll actually drop out of the race. But they wouldn't even do that. They wouldn't pass it even with that leverage on the table. So anyway, everybody hates Cornyn, and Paxton is very high up in the race there for Senate in Texas. But he puts out this great huge investigation lawsuit into Act Blue. This has to do with money laundering of foreign nationals through these campaign donations, using straw men, donors, using all of these fake people and their accounts to launder money through, and huge amounts of foreign money going into Act Blue to fund all the Democrat lawfare, all of the payoffs, everything. Very much like all the Ukraine money being recycled back. All of this money, our taxpayer dollar money, being recycled back into the evil demons that are trying to crush America and turn it into a communist state and strip it of its constitutional republic status. And so when I get back to Virginia and going back to the situation of the National Popular Vote Pact, okay, this is many, many states that are the blue strongholds that Virginia is trying to, is also becoming under CIA Spanberger. Remember, Spanberger was a CIA operative who back in the day, the early 2000s, or right before, this was before 9/11, she was the massive operative running the first and only Islamist training school just outside in Virginia, just outside DC, just very close to the CIA, Langley, that she was very intimately involved here in all of this Brennan et al., Barack Obama, etc., Muslimification operation. Obviously not Obama back then. He came later. But what I'm saying is that she goes way back to those times. And just like Alyssa Slotkin out of Michigan was on the plane with Joe Biden when he went to Ukraine to give the fire the guy in charge of prosecuting for fraud, or I'm going to hold back the $2 billion to Ukraine, right? That one. She was with him back then, okay? Alyssa Slotkin, the CIA agent who is the senator now, of course, in Michigan, right? And we're seeing Whitmer, the governor, Whitmer is now not running for re-election of governor, so it looks like she's going into the 2028 POTUS run. I still think that that Maura Healey out of Massachusetts is going to throw her hat in that race. That seems likely as well. We're still not seeing who all the players are going to be in that, but we are seeing how on the world stage they're trying to show that J.D. Vance is impotent. J.D. Vance has lost his power, his sway, his hold. They're going hard against him from the City of London out of the Financial Times. That coming out today as well. These attacks on J.D. Vance as being, impotent and unable to get the job done. So this National Popular Vote Pact is really important because this is what I was talking about of the destruction of the Electoral College. This is multiple states where they basically, the Virginia, if there was 22 electoral votes of Virginia, that this turns it, it's kind of like that, the, what do they call it? The voting where it goes by percentage, okay, where it goes by percentage, where whoever gets the most percentage of the votes ends up getting the real vote at the end. This is to destroy the Electoral College, where that the electoral college votes would automatically go to the popular vote one in the state. So it doesn't matter. Okay, the whole point here is that it's supposed to be the opposite, is that the popular vote in the state is supposed to go against and be separate from as two check and balance, controlling entities in our voting system that was set up by our founding fathers in our Constitution, where the electoral college votes represent the entire state, the entire people, their needs and wants, and not the popular vote of the masses that tend to run and be controlled by basically, usually by government handouts and free stuff. Okay, and so and very urban focus. This gets the fairness across the rural areas. And so trying to kill the Electoral College, of course, the Democrats have been trying to do now for a couple of decades, but now it's going really full bore. And in this referendum redistricting vote, this is a push towards this to try to make it so the Electoral College vote, the Electoral College means nothing, that it will have to go to wherever the popular vote goes. I hope that makes sense. I will try to link stuff below for you to check it out. But it has been really amazing to see in Virginia, the grassroots there going so hard to defeat this referendum on this redistricting. And people, even on the Democrat side, saying this is just total like cheating. That in these purple states where there's just been this full bore push where they used to be red states, you still have people with consciences there that aren't just fully liberal, radical crazies, okay, where it's just, no, we want full communism, we want to defeat, we have TDS, we must defeat, whatever. They still have, no, we actually have civics, and we have a constitutional republic voting system, and we want it to be an actual voting system and not be just using lawfare and using any means necessary to tear down our actual constitutional way of voting. And so this is really great to see. And go to Precinct Project, theprecinctproject.com, theprecinctproject.com, and become one of these great people like Delois Stallman, the York County Republican chairwoman, who they set up. She got involved and she became that county's Republican chairwoman, and she was able to set up huge grassroots where they put it out on a grid, used old maps, and street by street instructed people how to vote, because the referendums are always squirrely. They always say the opposite on what you're supposed to vote. You always think you're supposed to vote the opposite of what you're actually supposed to vote. And so the vote in Virginia was no to the redistricting referendum. And so they went all around, but what she had to say today was just huge, huge numbers. And so it's looking very exciting to see that. And I'm very excited about it. So I might leave it there. There's so much more besides where we're really, kind of watching here. People are still it's very interesting. It's like anytime that Israel doesn't stop attacking Lebanon, even though Trump says I'm commanding, that Israel's not going to keep that Lebanon is going to. We are going to negotiate with the country of Lebanon. Israel has to stop bombing all the Christians out of existence. They destroyed 30,000 Christian homes in southern Lebanon recently, and of course, smashing statues of Jesus, and this Christian hatred. Okay, that's clearly of both the Islamists and the Israel, whatever the IDF, whatever you want to call them, the people that are destroying Christian towns and villages throughout the Levant, shall we say, and the oldest Christian places being destroyed. That people always say that when this happens, that somehow it's Trump's fault. He said he was going to stop them, and he couldn't stop them. They don't understand that Trump saying to the world, we want you to stop, we intend that you stop, is huge in itself. We haven't heard this ever from a president against Israel, to stop destroying the Christian villages, to stop it. And this all is leading up. It is not a beard, it is not a facade. This is a lead up. And it's taking time, and it's hard in a war to understand that there's going to be so much back and forth, so much that it takes when you're dealing with a massive economic leviathan, okay, like the city of London, controlling the world for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, okay, and controlling this country, being sold out by our deep state or billionaires for way over a century, all right, and trying to build the takeover and then the succession of the world wars to then create America as a proxy country to become the military arm controlled by the deep state of City of London, and the creation of that in our country, in our Congress, and the creation of the intelligence agencies to make sure that that is the case, and to then fund them through our taxpayer dollars, created in secret with dark budgets, to then go out and execute the massacre and control of the world, okay, for the City of London. Trump is trying to extricate and reverse it, okay, right down to right now doing this deal with the Arab countries to say, yes, okay, Board of Peace, we might make a deal with you here where you 100% guarantee with the outcome of this, you stay on the petrodollar, and that this supports America's energy dominance. So it's just an ongoing thing. It's taking a while. This is what it was always going to be, everyone, that we got Trump back in and his team, who is a great team, to do this now. And it's nothing's instant soup at all whatsoever. And there are many pitfalls. There's many threats. It's ongoing. But I just want to encourage everyone to stay faithful. Okay, to stay faithful, obviously, primarily stay faithful with God and yourself and your truth and your center. It'll tell you what to do. Be kind and good in your life and helpful. That is what's so important. Get involved locally. And the precinctproject.com used to be precinctstrategy.com. Now it's the Precinct Project, where they're doing more and more to get people directly. They have more resources to directly involve you in your communities, to become a committeeman, to become involved in so many kinds of ways, and get on those phone calls with Stephen Stahl and all of that. There's so much to do that you can do that's local, right? And that's part of the problem here, is that people stopped taking responsibility for what's going on locally, as Agenda 2130 globalists came in and infiltrated all of our town councils, everything, taking it all over. That if we don't take that as being partially our fault, that we need to understand that we're looking in the mirror here, and this is not instant soup. It takes a while, and just do your part, and then you'll know that you're doing your part, is part of this whole massive organism of change, of taking down the globalist massive Leviathan. And I guess that's where I'm going to leave it today. I'm going to leave it there. There'll be so much more coming up this week. And of course, it's never a dull moment. So here we are, America 250. We're coming up close to this this incredible anniversary of creating the best country in the world for freedom and opportunity, and what should be a meritocracy, and not. We want to stop them making it a meritocracy, a merits. Where you have social credit merits, that you're only worth your compliance. As much as you comply, you get your social droppings into your digital currency. No, it's meritocracy of your capability that comes from you exercising your virtues, which means sublimating your emotions, using your critical thinking, and taking action. Okay, get rid of the psychologizing and the navel gazing, and instead do what you're capable of doing. Live your best. And, of course, as always, prayer is paramount. And God will tell you what to do in your 2 chairs in the morning, you and God together. Talk, hear, listen, and then don't procrastinate. Don't be like Pharaoh when God said to Moses, okay, I'll get rid of the plague of the frogs that are in your food, in your clothes, in your beds, everywhere, frogs everywhere. And he says, Moses, ask Pharaoh when he wants the plague to end. And Pharaoh says, tomorrow. How about tomorrow? Okay, as everything's being destroyed. No. Today. No, I want that plague to end today, right? And that means your action happening today. So I hope that means something to you. Thank you so much for watching. I will, and if something was of value, added value in this video, and you want to support the channel, so super appreciated. Ways to do so are below. This is a shoestring channel. It's why I can't always do more videos. It's it's a shoestring. So if you want to support the channel, there's ways to do so below. And I thank you so much. And I actually need to say thank you so much to Tom and Ginny. Thank you so much, Tom and Ginny. And also thank you so much to Patina. And I usually always say thank you in the beginning, but there's been a lot going on. Thank you very much, Patina and Tom and Ginny, for the donations. So appreciated. And to everybody who supports monthly, you make it happen. And I'm so grateful. Truly. And I will also just mention here at the end, c60evo.com/YAFTV. This is the incredible miracle molecule that is made in the best lab of the world, There's my little ticker there for it. Apply the code 10% off using the code YAFTV. This is c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off. Anybody who donates to the channel gets 15% off. Watch the video from last week. So excellent, to explain how it takes all the gunge out of your mitochondria and why that is so important right now, why it's used in all the big C alternative clinics, why people are buying it up so much when they're fighting these degenerative diseases, this inflammaging, and all this assault that is causing these rapid onslaught, diseases, that are going so fast in our bodies, and how we have to stay on top of them. Incredible product. So I so thank you. And if you, as I said, if you donate to the channel, you get 15% off, different link, different code sent to you. But this is made in the best lab that makes carbon 60 products in the world. That's why it's called ESS 60, because it is completely pure of anything else. Made in this incredible reactor that mimics the activity of the sun, creating these fullerenes that get into your neurons, get into your trillions of mitochondria, and capture the garbage so that your master hormones of melatonin and glutathione can take it right out of the body. So amazing and so worth it. So check it out below. And thanks so much, everyone, for listening today. I know I kind of talked fast and globbed it all together, but that's kind of what I do on this channel. I hope it made sense to you, and I so appreciate you. And we are free, and you are free, and I will see you tomorrow.